Welcome, I'm Bill Wake. We're here working on a program in Swift to do calculations to help kilt makers make their kilts. And up till now, we've had this notion of designing the pleats, and we had relationships between the hip size, the size of the tartan, the number of pleats you want, the width of the pleats, and we're going to try and make that more visual. We've gone a long ways, but we got to work on the placement and some of the output stuff. All right. Let's see. So here's where we left off. We've created these views. This one's the tartan, and it shows you a representation of a piece of cloth. It's got repeats. So notice the white to the white. It's white, yellow, red, yellow, white, yellow, red, yellow, white, and so on. And as a designer, you've got to decide how much fabric do I use for one pleat. Now the default is one set, which is one repeat distance, to one pleat. All right, but you can go as high as 2 and as low as 1/2. My wife today just came in and said she's going to work with a 5-inch set, which is really small. The default is divided by 3, so it's less than 2 inches for a pleat. It's for a big guy. It may not make sense to use one pleat. She may go to 1.5. She may go to 2, who knows? She may change some other things, but it's one is a default, but I don't know. A number of kilts will not use one. I think people in her class last week or 2 weeks ago were making 3 kilts between them, and one of them had a non-standard pleat, sets per pleat. Okay. But anyway, what I'd like to do, I think this is okay. I want to get the formatting. I'd like it to look better on these intermediate ones. We use we have a type we designed value that can represent numbers like this. Well, we're not it does things in 1/8 of an inch because that's kind of the standard they have for doing this work. But in this case, you probably want to just say 1.5. You don't want any 1/8 of an inch. It's not 1 4/8. It's 1.5 pleats. Okay, so we got a little bit of work to do there. Then this now is was it a labeled control or something? Labeled content? I can't remember the name. Let's see, we have it here. It's invalidating. But it's the one that puts the labeled content. It puts the label on the left and the value on the right, and if you're in a form, it makes it look one way and so on. I would like this to not look like that. I would like it to be, I would like the set value to basically, I want to move this to the left. I don't want it to take up the whole space. Let's see. Another thing, well, I don't know about putting a little fold in here. Something is also funny. Let me go back. Kind of a spacing thing. Like, why is this so far down? I feel like I must have messed up something somewhere. Okay, so there's too much vertical space on top. Let me add that to the to-do list. All right. Okay. I'd love to get this 1/2 inch or so back. And maybe pay to make this all smaller because you can't really see the bottom line here, what type of it is, and so on. So I could shorten this. Okay, so yeah, let's take notes here. Okay, so fraction count put for sets per pleat, that's one thing. Set to take about half the screen, half the width. And I think it's no longer a labeled control. Labeled content. Okay. That's fine there. I want that up top like that. Sets in one pleat. Another thing I thought about doing is putting a very lightly transparent layer over this and hide, although I'd really rather make it brighter or put the transparency over the rest of it or something, but I'd like to really highlight what area is selected here. And actually, that dimension line needs to adjust. Let's see, that's sets per pleat. Oh no, that's Sett. Oh, the Sett is that is right. Okay, yeah, but some, I don't know, highlight somehow the sets per pleat in the diagram. Okay, so my goal would be you drag this, and at first it shows from here to here, and then it shows to here, to here, to here, to here, and so on. Okay. All right, that one. Another thing I thought of, it might pay to make this a disclosure box on tartan there. Because the tartan is something like you've almost always chosen your tartan and then you calculate things based on it. You don't go back and say, well, what if I make this a 7-inch set? You know, it's like that doesn't really go. Once in a while you have to manipulate this sets per pleat, but you know, mostly this is a fixed value. So I think it could be worthwhile to just put a little triangle here and let you hide that, because you really want to see the pleats and the pleat shape. That's the real value in this. Okay, let's see. Overlay controls and images. Well, that will be more specific. The hip, I'm okay with the ideal hip here, but we need to move the actual hip size down. Adjusted. Adjusted hip size just after ideal hip. Okay, the pleats, that's the one I'd like to overlay. So overlay pleats onto image. Okay, so I want to, and no longer a label control, labeled content. This should all be in the middle of this pleat section. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Make sure I didn't have it off by 1. Okay. But you are, well, you're supposed to be able to adjust that. What's going on? Pleat stepper not working. Okay, pleat width. Oh, it's inactive because I don't have a hip size yet. Okay, so 20. Let's make this 6 1/8. We get a box plate with overlap with 5 pleats. Okay, we move to a military box plate. It might be nice to say what that overlap is. I don't think we need to with the box plate, military box plate. The way they do it, it seems like they just kind of arrange it correctly and press it down. They baste it and then press it. So I don't think they're really measuring this per se. They do measure the pleat width. Okay. Total fabric, adjusted hip size. Okay. Well, that's, let's see, fraction entry, too much vertical space. Fraction entry for all fields. We got to check that. And I guess on the pleat shape, let's tell how much overlap. We tell you the gap if there's a gap. So if I go the other way, yeah, we tell you that. That would be good. All right. Yeah, and this is, you can change this. It's not very obvious from this view. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's not obvious to me that you should change those, but that should be obvious. We need to make sure that that is obvious. Okay, so let's set to take half the width. Okay, I think we'll just work our way through these. Well, disclosure box seems easy enough to find out. It's either trivial or it's not. Let's see, Swift UI. This is a section. I think there's just a flag you put on the section header. Content key, well, collapsibility, yeah, is expanded. Okay, so let's try that. This is Pleat view, I believe. Section tartan is expanded. True. Is that not? This is Swift UI list section. Okay. S creates a section with the content. What's S? Key. Oh, it's expanded binding a bool. Oh, okay. So we need a little state. Well, how about we do like private var just to be conforming. Expanded. I could do constant, but I don't want a constant. Dollar tartan is expanded. All right, let's see how that looks. Whoops. Requires that string conforms to view. I apparently have the wrong header. S section. Parent conforms to table row content. Parent is text. Content view conforms to. Yeah. Is expanded. Like, what's wrong with that one? Title key is expanded. Content. Parent is text. Content conforms to view. I thought that's what I had here. Have is expanded. Expect header footer content. No, you don't. Place tartan is expanded with header. No. 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 Okay. Well, let's see if we can make a new one and get it to guess right. Section, content, header, footer. I don't know why the content, where's all the, well, there's no is expanded in this. What? Init is expanded. Oh, I picked one that's a beta. Okay. I guess that's not in the current release. Okay. Let's take this out then. All right, gives us something to look forward to. I guess more people than just me want it. All right. Next release. Okay. Set to take half the width. Okay, so let's see what's involved there. Unfortunately, there's kind of a lot going on here. Validating text field. Yeah, because I'm asking for this labeled content. Well, do I have to change all these? Do I want them all changed? Well, I like this one fine. This will be better the other way. Well, maybe for symmetry, we should just make them all. Let's switch away from labeled content, even though Mudshark666 found it for me. All right, let's make it an H stack with text of labeled bold, and take out this. Does that work? Build failed for. Well, let's see if we can show it here. Oh, I don't have a demo. Okay. Build succeeded. All right. So this should make our stuff a little uglier. Well, that's not horrid. Why is that? I guess the... I'm going to put a little spacer in there just to see what happens. Text. Nothing. Am I not? Let's take this off. I feel like I'm not making any changes. Huh. It seems like it's trying to take everything. Frame modifier. Okay, and there's that. I do kind of want something like that. I want it to be clear you're supposed to type in there. Okay, so this is working. Uh, 120 may be too short, but let's see what we got. Okay, that is actually pretty good. But the border, Oh, the border's on the whole thing. That rounded box is an improvement. Delete that. I get that. Well, I'm not quite sure. I don't know if this looks a little goofy. Let's put this. Okay. Like this one, I would just as soon center. All right, let's see what we can do. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm kind of regretting. Maybe it's not bad. The things you enter, the only one you enter that is numeric, well, you enter the pleat, number of pleats, and the sets per pleat, but both those we've got out of that domain. So having inch in there is probably okay. I think that's okay. Value required. Yeah, you're right. That just does look goofy. Okay, so let's put this. Who's that H stack? No, that's not going to work. Okay. It's getting a little out of hand here. Okay. So I want this outside for sure. Now this H stack only has that, but text error message. That's really like a V stack. And that's, okay, that is that V stack. Let's see how this works. That's kind of okay. I think if I put my dimension line but I want to be able to get 2 pleats. Well, let's... I mean, centered is consistent enough that it's tolerable, but I want it closer to this dimension line to make it really kind of pop out that that's what you're filling in. All right, so that's your second H stack. So let's try it. This is the V stack plus the spacer. Add some padding on the H stack. This is better. I think maybe this width could be a touch smaller. This is where my laziness and not putting a preview in is costing us. Okay. And then if you type it, 6 inches. Yeah, let's put a little padding on that. And what's this? H stack is centering pleats. No, we're on the other one. Leading. Might take more like 8. I don't know if just enough padding to bounce it over. I'm not sure it's okay. It is doing its thing. All right. I think that may be enough. It's got inches after the blue and Sett before it, and just kind of in the middle. It may not need to be quite so big. Well, that one's short, but the others could be bigger. Okay. Now the ideal hip, well, sorry, to do. All right, set to take about half the width, no longer labeled content. Yes. I think we got this one good enough to move forward. All right, fraction output. This is one I don't know what the right way is here. That's plate view. Slider, this, we're just doing formatted, which it's a double, so it's doing a normal double formatting, but I think I should define my own. Now, I don't want to go through all the stuff you have to do to be a formatter. So we're just going to make a method for it. Kind of like we do up here, but format fraction values a double, turns a string. Let's return value.formatted for now until we use it. What did I call it? Format fraction. Format fraction of designer sets per pleat. Okay, let's, well, we're updating that. Okay. And I think I want to say, I don't know if this is so customized to what we're doing. Well, the formatter is going to hate it like this, so let's... Okay. Edit emoji. Now, we didn't use these little symbols in our more generic one because we could only get eighths and we couldn't get like 4/8 and stuff like that. So just to keep them consistent. But I think for this, we can do it. Quarters. Oops, I saw it. Quarters 1. I want that bullet in there too, but we'll come back to that. Is that the one we're using? That one, okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's why I'm thinking I want this. I don't know if transparent's the right thing. Maybe we can figure out something that will bold it somehow or make it brighter. Or maybe it's make everything else dimmer. I mean, that would be fine too. Yeah, maybe something like if I tinted it more green, maybe or something, would it, or maybe a little more yellow would brighten it up. I don't know. Um, well, that would be. I think that's more icing than necessity. Fraction output. I don't know. This seemed very simple. I'm kind of tempted to just let it go. Um, let's save that one because we. I don't think it's unbearable. The position of the thumb basically corresponds to the position to the amount, so it's tied that way visually at some point. But I think if it, if it brightened up the stuff from here to here, or from there to there, that kind of thing would be attractive. But let's get everything else together first. Move adjusted hip size after ideal hip. Okay, I guess I also want to center. And I can leave off inches off that name. Since I'm putting it in afterwards. Ideal hip. Huh. Now, that to me looks like it is supposed to be centered. It's H stack with a spacer before and after. Why would that not center? Oh, did I do the... No, the leading is here. Okay, well, let's move the other one up while I'm... Okay, so that's this. H stack. After that... Well, I don't think I need him to be labeled content now. We're going more to an H stack of this text and okay. And I guess I want that centered. I don't know, the more I'm looking at this, maybe this would be better off just centered. This one is. Why is that not centered? I really don't understand that. Pleat view, validating text field. Maybe this spacer is taking up all the space and it can't. Another feature we need is if you left the calculator on this page, you should come back to this page. All right, that's... Oh yeah, this dimension line doesn't adjust. Oh, that's the set. Okay. Well, I'm thinking that's okay-ish. Let's leave this out for now. So in effect, it's centered, and this H stack is useless. Okay. So let's see, put 20 in, right? And then we're gonna have a set. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Okay, you can see the pleats adjusting. Ideal hip 20 inches, adjusted hip 20 inches. Okay. I don't know, actual, would that be a better word? I think that first outer H stack had the spacer in, so it forced it as wide as possible, and adding more stuff around it, it was already maximized, so it wasn't any good, I think. Not perfect at these, but all right. So that's doing okay. And trailing pattern to the set. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think it's gonna work. Let's see. Padding. Let's do. Well, trailing 80. What do I know? Okay. When you put it in, does it look right? I think that's kind of okay. All right, now this, we got the hip size down here, ideal hip. All right. Just a zip size. Overlay pleats onto the image. Well, one thing I think is wrong. This dimension line is part of this pleat drawing, but I don't know. Maybe it won't matter. It was just a choice of where we put it. Oh, one more thing I want to do is I'd like to trim the height on this tartan a little bit. I think it's hard coded to 100. Let's make it 80, well, 75. Let's try with that. Okay. I guess I've done several things without checking in here. Let's get this checked in. Okay. Well, that's still a little much vertical space for what's going on, but I don't know. Maybe there's no good way around it. Okay, that looks okay. I think that is worth it. Okay. So we've modified the validating text field. We positioned the set to the left. We moved the hip size up. I guess it's all these things I put down here. And run those tests. Nothing we did should change them. Okay, overlay pleats onto image. Yeah, that's something we can do. Pleat view. Well, I think I can just say overlay. I can even say it like this. Maybe we can probably tweak it vertically and stuff if we need to. Well, it certainly needs some background. Do I just say color? Okay, and I want some spacing on this. Spacer doesn't do anything. Probably got to do it on here. Background color dot white. So let's give it a little padding. I really wish the 10 could be before the minus plus thing. Let's see if Stepper will do that. The number of pleats are the same as the tartan. Yeah, I think it can be smaller though. Value 3 color. Yeah, we could put the value in there directly. Okay, let's do that. Okay. All right. Do I need a little more room? I don't know why this is so cantankerous. Okay. And I think, again, we can probably shrink this thing. I guess that's number pleat count. Let's try the same size. I don't know. Spacing on the stepper. Yeah, I don't think it has its own modifiers. So I gave it a fixed width, and I gave it this padding, but that's on the whole. Well, there's no point having an H stack, is there? Since the value's in there now. Okay, so we gave it a frame, which gives the space for it. Padding. Okay. I think I can live with this for now. Okay. Well, let me see if I can simulate this. So this guy today, so if we use one pleat, so 5-inch set, one set per pleat, you'll have 16 pleats of 1 5/8 inches each. Labels hidden on the stepper. Is that just going to hide this, or? Yeah, I'm not sure why we would want that. But I think this is tolerable. I don't feel like the 75 took, though, did it? Pleat count drawing frame height 75. I do have a sample. Okay. It is taking. All right, plate view. Yeah, I think this is a little clunky. Yeah, I do like that animation. Label and values as text. Yeah, that's kind of what they showed in the example here. So they got the text, well, the value, and look up the value and say something. Yeah, I think that's tolerable enough. I could probably squeak an extra space in here and maybe get a little. I don't know if it's, yeah, it is going. Okay. Oh, it's a little goofy, but I think that looks better. All right, I think that's what we want here. Pleat stepper not working. Well, that was me being stupid. It doesn't work when it's prerequisite information isn't there. Okay. Now, why is pleat width so fat when the others are small? Is it just the name is big? Okay, tell how much overlap. Yeah, this would be good to know. So fraction entry for fields. Let's make sure this is okay. All right, that does work. Well, they're all the same. We saw this one, and that one is clearly. Okay. Oh, the gap is not. Oh, this is good. We still got our red adjusted hip size because it's different. Okay. Now, so fraction entry for all fields, that's fine, but we want the gap to use should show fractional inches. All right. Well, check this. Okay. Let's go to Pleat Designer. Our gap. Let's see who uses this. And who uses that? Oh, nobody's using absolute gap, but I think we need to. Gap label, what's gap ratio? Oh, I think we use that for drawing. Yeah. Oh, there is something else wrong. Ideal hit, oh, pleat width. Pleat width, oh, it just doesn't have room. I wonder if I just said width there, if that would be okay. It is the pleat shape. Okay. Width, yeah, I think that's okay. All right. All right, the editable things all have editable looking controls, so that's okay. All right, push. What are we back to? I guess we're back to the gap and the pleat shape overlap. And should we do a double formatter? Now, that's interesting because maybe our values could all become doubles if we provided a double formatter. And the highlighting. Okay, so I would call the double formatter is kind of oriented towards refactoring. There's too much vertical space. Let's see. I think it's something to do with navigation view. I guess that's content view. Start at the top. Okay, so what we do, we have the tab view with those things in it, but then I think each one makes its own navigation view. Well, this one doesn't. Okay, maybe I'm doing it unnecessarily. I just wanted to get a title, which seems reasonable, but I'm paying a lot of space for it. Yeah, I think that's what's doing that. I mean, I can just leave it a VStack. Or a list, yeah. Oh, that's the toolbar. Never mind. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, let's take out that. And this. Can I just put text pleats dot font dot title? Take out navigation view and reformat. Okay. Oh man. Okay, good. This is such a long class. All right, let's do a run. Oh, that puts it in the list. That may not be good. Yeah, that's a good question. Do lists take headers? Yeah, that's too goofy. Yeah, I don't want a custom cell. Oh, they did navigation view with navigation title. They're drawing it like nicer than ours, though, I have to say. Yeah, section header. Well, nothing says it has to be a list, right? And theoretically, a body takes care of this, right? It lets me stack them up without a group or anything. Apparently not. Oh, stupid editor. Okay. Have I messed it all up? Well, that's... Yeah, I mean, the section headers are these little uppercase section dividers. Oh, it does do that. Okay. I had some reason I thought a body would already let you put the two views in, but yeah, Paul Hudson's stuff is great. It's hackingwithswift.com. All right, a bunch of worthless messages, and I'd like that to be left aligned. I don't know, maybe I don't. Tolerable. Okay. It's taking less space than that navigation view thing. It's a little weird. Oh, the scrolling is all on the bottom. I don't care for that. Well, would it look like the other way? And now it scrolls off. I think given the two, I'll take the one on the right. All right, I don't need the V-stack anymore. Okay. Spaces are spaces. All right. Sure. Yeah. So let's see, we removed the navigation view. Oh, good question. Well, I'm guessing they can't do much about the text. The section. Right, if I made an empty section out of it. Well, that didn't seem to do much. I don't think it's the text background, but we'll try it. Yeah. Yeah, change. Well, I think it's got to be this section. I don't know if it puts it in an implicit section, but like those white boxes are definitely sections for the stuff we're doing. When it wasn't in a section, it was still in a white box. So it's like it implicitly puts it in a section. Let's see. Background on a SwiftUI list. Section.background color to clear. How weird. Oh, is it this list row inset thing? No. And what sticky headers? Is it something about the... No. Well, it seems like he's got something going here. Did not work. All it did was push the title to the edges to make a thin blue. Okay, that's what happened to me too. All right, it works until you clear your list background. Better solutions for list header custom color. Section header for each. for each list. Okay, that's still not what we want. Relative width deprecated. Yeah, I may just let it go. I don't know. I hate doing these because it's going to break if they update them, and they do seem to be removing, making more things be pure switch UI. Scroll content background hidden. Set the frame of the header. Let's see what that does. Oh, section can have a header. So just I don't have any contents? Yeah. Right. Still not. Yeah. Yeah. I guess I got to put that in the frame. Next with infinity. I guess that's no, it's just not good enough. Good thought. Is there anything else coming in here? Room changing section. List style, but I don't want to change the whole list. Yeah, I think it's just not in the current package. All right. What changed? Well, that format could be better. In the end, that's all we did. All right. I'm okay with it. It's not, I mean, if I had a way to get that same light gray, that'd be great. Put color clear in the first section. You talking about this one? I don't think this touched this. This only touched that, and it's showing. I mean, when we set the background, it only set the red around that much, so I don't think it's getting to the whole thing. I think we did this combination without without any luck. Yeah, that still doesn't get to the whole background of the section. Is there anything else? It's not really a foreground. Yeah. Okay. Wrong. Okay, well, we've addressed this anyway. All right, gap to show fractional inches. Pleat shape, tell how much overlap. Can we do a double formatter that handles format fractions? Okay, I guess this highlight is more important to me than that. All right, well, let's take a break. Section clear text, pulled it out with a view. Whoops. Let me try again. So section something dot clear. And then a text. Put that with a view. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, it's treating it like a separate row entry, right? Am I doing what you think or something else? Yeah, I don't think we got it. Yeah, I wish it had. I was going to say overlay, but I don't think there's a good overlay for that either. Okay, anyway, let's take that break, 3 or 4 minutes, and we'll come back and switch over to the fractional inches idea. Go back to a formatter for that. All right, see you in a few minutes. Okay, welcome back. I had a horrible thought during the break. I'm not sure we're any better off with this Pleats thing here. Sorry, with the list. So see where it came to the top button there? I guess I got to look at where the tartan starts. Tartan starts in the middle of the button. Okay, it starts between the two buttons here. Let's put this back and take out the text. I don't think we're any better off, except yeah, I think we're a little worse off. Once it scrolls, it gets a little less space. So I think I'm taking this out. Yeah. Okay. Make sure it still looks right over here. but yeah, okay. All right, gap to show fractional inches. Yeah, so let's get a gap going. 20 inches. Set of 6. Okay. Okay, yeah, so that I would like it to say, I don't know, 0.0625 is a 16th, so is that a 3/16 inch gap? Okay. So gap in plate view. Gap message for designer.gap. Oh, that gap message? No, that's not what we're after. It's in the drawing. Gap. Well, again, we took something out. We had gap label. We still do. Okay, let's make that take that. So box plate drawing should take the gap label and put it in front of whatever it's doing here. Okay, let's add that. So box plate drawing, let's give it a gap label. Of string. Okay, imagine there's one down here. Okay, and then one here. All right. Gap. Well, it's lying about the gap size for this example. Okay. Let's see. Well, gap label. Let's find gap text. Text gap text. Okay, so the text we want now is HDEC. Gap label. Well, I think it's really gap label. Oh, too bad. I mean, at least the spacing minimizes once you start scrolling it up. Just hate to have it lost. Yeah, I mean, I guess once you set the set, it's set and forget. You don't need it to do the pleat stuff. Okay. This says gap gap now, so we shouldn't pass in the word gap. And then in here, we shouldn't pass in the word gap. Okay. Let's see. So what do you show? Nothing. All right, let's run it. Yeah, there's kind of a decision here. I don't know the right place to make it. Okay. All right, here's gap 0.3 inches. Well, that looks fine. The thing is, if it's military box pleat, I don't really want the label. The gap, the overlap, it'll be overlap. All right, so this part will say that designer.gap, I think we want absolute gap. Let's make go the other way. Overlap. He's got no gap. So somebody's being smart about this. I don't know if it's the right place. It must be box pleat drawing. If gap ratio greater than or equal to 0. Well, that's this decides whether to draw the gap. Today it only shows it if it's greater than 0, 0 greater. So that's the gap. But where's the military thing come in, right? I don't know. Some of this is not speaking to me very well. Let's go back to gap ratio. Gap ratio. Otherwise, return the gap divided by the pleat width. The problem is the gap is not the thing that makes it too big, right? Where's that? Pleat validator. Yeah, I mean, I'm passing the absolute. Well, okay. Let me switch it, and then I'll say what I don't like about it. So if I think I can take this off, we'll put a gap or overlap in no matter what. All right, so let's run it. Okay, so a 6-inch set, 22-inch hip. All right, now if I reduce this, okay, I got a 3.3-inch gap. All right, but if I go the other way, I get a minus 0.25 overlap, and this guy goes nuts. Something is negative. And that overlap is not... Why is that negative? Did I still pass? Oh, I wanted absolute gap here. So I think what's going on, well, okay, dimension line. I think what's going on is it's drawing it backwards. Now we can probably fix that. We can fix that. I'm not sure if it fits the shape of things, but okay. So if I make this 11, I get an overlap and I get a purple mark. I think what's happening is it's trying to draw the overlap from the right hand, the left side to the right side, and it's drawing backwards. So let's go to dimension line. Ah. Okay. Whoops. Invalid frame dimension. So it's the frame that's doing it. Well, maybe this should just be absolute. Do I have foundation here? Okay, 6 and 22. No gap, 0.25. Okay, that's better. Now, is that right? Okay, so 2 inches, if we make it 1 13/16, then each of these is 1 13/16 plus 3/16. So 6/16. The dimension line, I mean, I think it's okay when it's small like this. Like this is a realistic, like a 1/4 inch is, I think, about the biggest they would do. Maybe they might even like it smaller. They're willing to do a tiny bit of overlap in the box plate shape. So a box plate, the 2 inner triangles are symmetric. Okay, and if they're symmetric but they overlap a touch, okay, maybe it's the best compromise. I mean, the ideal is 0, but you don't always get that. I mean, you gotta, if you really want 12 pleats and a hip size of 22 and all that. But yeah, but like military, nobody's really making a decision. Like they decided military, it's going to be, probably 1 or 2 pleats worth even, I mean, it's not necessarily out of range. But yeah, I would definitely go past here, probably at least over to the next pleat. And they're not too worried. They just they fold the left-hand side to the midpoint, and then the right-hand side gets whatever it takes to make the pleat come out right. And get stitched, maybe it's over here where this little tip ends up. But if I keep going, now this overlap is really too big. And I don't want it showing. I mean, even 0.4 is probably just too much. military pleats, the overlap doesn't even mean anything, and there's no point to showing it. So, but it's like, how do I express that? Like this, it doesn't seem to be a drawing concern. Like the semantics of when do you decide it's military or not is not really its concern. I don't think the drawing's concern. So in that sense, I think this is okay. But I think it really should be in a block. I think we should tell it, do you want the gap dimension drawn? And the answer is not if it's a military box pleat. So, I don't think it's so helpful. So it's got to be the pleat view that's passing on a decision. I mean, this is like, should draw a gap. And that's where'd that pleat validator go? Because it makes the decision about when is it a box pleat with a gap or whatever. So I think it's going to have to be at the level of the pleat view to say don't draw it if it's military box pleat. And I don't even know if this number is quite right. Okay. So pleat view, gap ratio. Okay, I'm gonna move gap ratio up because people do use that regardless. I'm gonna add in a should draw gap. Okay, so box pleat drawing. So I said I would move this up. And same thing on pleat view. Okay, let's run that. Sorry. Okay, so put a 6-inch set, hip of 22. The gap with overlap, military box pleat. Okay, but the point is the gap ratio is still there. That's still working. Yeah, you got one here. Okay, we got a live action show and tell.
All right. Oh, sorry.
Full of pins. All right.
So this is the 5-inch set. This is the 5-inch set, and it's pleated to the stripe. And so you don't get a lot of that deep pleat there. So, and this is for a big guy. If this was for a kid, I'd probably say okay, but it's not. So what I did, so we're auditioning what it's going to look like, basically. So what I did was I did every other. So it's a 1.5 pleat. And I don't know if you can see that it's got a much deeper pleat there.
So is that a military pleat?
No, this is it's a knife pleated.
Oh, knife pleated. Okay, we haven't done knife pleated.
Yeah. So, but it would look like kind of pleated to the set by doing to the stripe every other. But it also gives my person a lot more what we call swishability in the kilt world. So I think we're going to probably go with this style if I have enough fabric to make enough pleats for it. But I thought you want to know how that difference is on the deepness, and it all depends on the set. So
yeah, so I think we haven't done knife pleats yet, but you can see where the military pleat would have a little bit of fold underneath the left-hand side. The knife pleat is just all fold, all the folds pushed to one side. So that's actually what's next on our thing after we get this graphical view straightened out on these. Thanks. That we'll deal with the knife plated kilts because they come out a little different. There's no, you don't have to worry about the gap per se. All right. So let's see. I just change argument order on box pleat drawing. Yeah, so I think for her case, the real use is, you know, she'll run through several possible scenarios, take the best couple or three, do them up for 3 or 4 pleats, just kind of pinned with stabby pins, and see which one looks the best and decide from that. Okay. All right, next thing was I want to pass in something that tells me, do I draw the gap or overlap? Okay, and I'm going to make this, I guess, just a Boolean. Box plate shape, we want box plate drawing. Okay, so gap ratio, and this is draw gap is Boolean. Okay, and if you draw it, I'm going to make it true for these, and then ours is going to depend if let's see, what is it, designer dot, well, do we have a validator? Yeah, if pleat validator dot gap message for the gap is not military box pleat. I think that reflects what we want. There may be, I don't like comparing strings per se, but I think this is the right information for us. Whether, if we have to introduce a new type for it, that feels awkward. All right, but this should, well, tests certainly don't change because this is all drawing stuff. But we'll run the code. All right, so that's fine. Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll do that in a moment. And the limits may be different on each one. Okay, box plate with overlap, 1/4 inch overlap, way too much overlap. And I'm not sure this is ideal here, because the way we're drawing these things, they're not really symmetric in the middle. Also, I think 1/2 inch is probably more than they want. Okay, but here's military. Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. We didn't do anything with it yet. Okay. Now we've got that, and let's check for that instead of what we were doing before. So if draw gap, then we'll do that. Okay. Okay, we've got our military box pleat. There's our gap. Gap. Okay. Right. So pleat validator. And this is I don't think it should show it shows the text for military box pleat, but the gap is not really relevant to them or overlap. Let's see here, gap. Oh, go the other way. Okay, so when it's a 1/4 inch overlap, they want to know like, oh, how much overlap is there? And I think, like I said, I think maybe a 1/4 inch is more the acceptable. They wish it were an 1/8 kind of thing. I don't think they would necessarily do half. Whoops. But if you get too much and it's just a military box pleat, they don't want to know the overlap for that. There's no value in it to them because they can fold the left-hand side to the middle and come back and do this, and then wherever the repeat is, like let's say it starts here, you know, you fold that, and then this gets everything until the repeat shows up right at the line there, you know. So they don't need to measure anything. They just push it down and let it go where it will. But the overlap, the slight overlap, they've got to decide, is a 1/4 inch acceptable or not. And you know, maybe they could you know, what if you made his hip a 1 inch bigger, and you know, well, the overlaps is way worse, so that won't work. You know, they would make these kind of decisions, and see, but they don't use that information for a military pleat. It makes it a little, I don't know. I think I'm doing the right kind of dependency level here to say somebody tells you whether they want the drawing or not. That seems okay. But they just definitely don't want, you know, I don't want the decision to be in here, like, you know, that, like I said, that half or whatever. But let's put that. Okay. These are both, I'm going to pull these both out. Let's make this static. Var maximum gap, maximum box pleat gap, and that's going to be the half. Okay, so that's this. Okay, and then is this, I don't know if this is really that. I don't think they're the same number, or you know, the opposites. Static var maximum box pleat overlap, and that's going to be this negated. Maximum box pleat overlap. Okay. And then this double, that is also that one. Overlap. All right, let's make sure that's okay. Okay, and we'll run. Okay, 6, 22. I keep typing 11s. 22. All right. 1/4 inch overlap, almost a 1/2 inch overlap. Now it switches to military box pleat. Gap, gap. Now it's too large. Okay. I think we're good. Okay, don't draw gap for military box pleat. Okay. Well, that's one we did. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm putting the decision in the same way, though, right? I mean, then I have two places making the decision about what's a military box pleat. I mean, the thing I'm resisting doing is defining an enum for each of these cases um, and tying into that. I mean, it really is military box pleat is what determines it. So, yeah, I don't want to pull that decision back out here because if we change the value, well, at least if it's a constant, it changes. I don't know. I let's make a question. Should we make a type for pleat types? There's so I think of it as design pressure doing that, and sweet validator. At some point, Yeah, so I mean, there's a little bit of a push. We got one thing that needs to know the exact type, some things that want to know the name. They might need to tell you the gap if. I don't know. It's just enough. Can improve the validator. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I would do. I mean, this is already sort of a non-enum. It's really a static container box, right? It's not a real enum. Bigger. I don't know. It's kind of let's yeah. The question would be, does the pleat drawing need any of that information? And to some extent, we've how would you say it, abstracted it away because the gap, let's see, is it what was it, the the gap ratio, is that being used in here? Yeah, so the gap ratio encodes the gap relative to the pleat size. So the more the gap ratio grows, that determines how far back we draw our line. And that's all embedded there is kind of okay. It doesn't really care that it's military pleat. Well, we do here, right? So somebody's deciding this. Let's see that. Yeah, so we are doing something off that. Yeah, I could imagine. I could imagine getting the pleat type here and asking it if you're a pleat, regular pleat, do this. If you're a military pleat, do that. And maybe at some point, if you're a knife pleat, do that. And maybe that'll be the trigger to come back to this decision. Because I haven't even put this in here yet. But knife pleats, it's kind of a big. It's not as big as what we've been doing, but it's got stuff to it. But that one also is going to want to know, like, which thing am I drawing? And here we've said draw a box pleat, but like, would it make sense to decide outside this which kind of pleat it is and make a separate drawing for military or box? And I don't quite know the answer there. This function is after we've already decided it's a box pleat of some sort. Okay. We compute property in the validator. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Wandering around here. All right, so we definitely could make something that says is military pleat. Is military box pleat. I guess I gotta do it as a var. Oh, no, I gotta give it the gap. Okay. Returns bool. Yeah, we can pull this over here. Pleat view right now. Okay. So instead we're going to call pleat validator dot is military box pleat with designer dot gap. Okay, and for now I think I'll just do this. Should that be the other way? I don't know. Okay. Let's make sure that runs. Oh, was I backwards? Yeah, you're right. Okay, box pleat with overlap. Am I backwards again? Why isn't it showing that? Oh, thank you. It's a good thing you're here. Okay. Toy. Yeah, conservation of negation should have told me that. 6. Okay. There's an overlap. Increase it. Increase it. And that's doing fine. Okay. I think that's pretty good. All right. Yeah, and then at some point, I don't know, maybe the knife pleats will come back to this and make some decisions. It's not just the gap that tells you it's a knife pleat though, so it we'll see. I think some of this, I think this has become too complicated in some ways. But I wish I didn't have to have the nil checks, and we haven't quite escaped that. So, all right. So test should pass. I think this is an incorrect message. Yeah. Okay. Rework when we draw gap info. All right. Highlight or fractional inches. Well, fractional inches is really the one that should be. Yeah, knife pleat. You're choosing. So the guy she's working on this one, she asked him, do you prefer box pleats or knife pleats or whatever, do you prefer if I do it to the set or the stripe or all, those couple of options, and he's like, you just figure out what's going to look best. Other people will come in and say, I really want a knife pleat or I really want a box pleat. She just made one for me that's in a nice lighter fabric. Like the other one I have, the first one she made for me is this really heavy wool. It's a good for going to Irish festival in October or something. Not so good for Omaha's August parade. So this one, it's a very light fabric, and by using box pleats, it there's not a lot of excess fabric. Where the military box pleat makes a lot of overlap, so it's going to use a lot more fabric. And so this uses less fabric and all that. And that just was kind of a preference of mine because I already have a knife pleat. It'd be nice to have a little different style. And this is a red instead of a green, at least the bulk of the color. So it was a real choice for me that I wanted it that way. I wanted something light. And this guy doesn't care. He just wants something looking good, and that's all right. Okay. Fractional inches, highlight the sets. Yeah. So this fractional inches thing, I mean, I think it's the last bit because nobody wants to see 0.3675 inches. They want to see it in those 8ths and 16ths. All right. So, and we know how to do it. I just have to do it. Pleat designer was the gap. Well, it's really the absolute gap. Okay, let's see who's using this. Right, only that view. Okay, format optional. Well, I think format optional is probably the place to look. So this is value double, and we just use double value dot formatted. I think, I think we can just cast it to a value. Let me make sure who else uses this, but I think this is the only place. Format optional. Gap text. Yeah, we want it there. Oh, total fabric as well. Yeah, we don't want to say 0.735 inches. Okay, so let's I don't. Well, I'm doing the wrong one. Okay, format optional. Well, the other way, total fabric. Okay, value double. Well, let's just do whoops, dot inches. No, this is going to be inches. Got to take an extra in off there somewhere. Whoops. String has no inches value. This should be value dot inches with double. Okay. Okay, so we got overlap 3/16. I got an inch twice. That's fine. Total fabric 80 inches. All right, that's good. Okay, so let's see if there was a test that will care. I'm gonna get the inches out of there. Okay, so this was the box pleat gap. And the total fabric. Sorry, I get annoyed that it doesn't clean that message up. Okay, somewhere there's a reset messages. Okay. So 5 inches, 25. Gap 0 inches. Let's do an overlap. This is 80 inches. That's looking good. Okay. Highlight the sets per pleat. Okay. Yeah, well, I feel like at some point we can almost get rid of all our values. That they may be useful in the calculator, but I think they're not helping anything here. But yeah, okay. All right, so the set pleat formatting. So the other thing I'm forgetting, let's see. I would love to animate drawings. Okay, I mean it's nice in a way. So as I do this, that does change these things. Does it change it changes the drawing type too, right? The overlap or military or whatever. But they can, you can get a smoother animation out of it, I think. Like that's a bit of a jar. And if they swung up gently, I'd be a little happier. Okay. Let's do the highlight first. So this is, let me close out some stuff. I think it's not Pleat count. Well, it's tartan something, tartan drawing. Okay, so right now tartan drawing doesn't really take any input. Okay, so what I'd like to do is give it sort of a sets to highlight kind of thing. And it'll take a little trickiness, but I don't know, some of this. Okay, 6 is really coming out of 3, so that's okay. 12 is coming from that. Okay. I mean, the pattern here. Okay. So what we do for this is we draw a big green rectangle and then we space out these lines periodically to look like a pattern. Okay. And I wonder if that should be a different color. Would that help? Red, yellow, white. Let's make this orange. I think just a little bit of difference might bring out that it's really, because there's a difference to drawing to here versus here, right? I mean, they are, I don't know, that contrast isn't high enough for me. I don't know, what colors can I get? Black, cyan, no, gray. Mint? Would that show up? Purple? Purple's more of a red. Yellow. Orange. Indigo. Well, let's see what purple does. Oh, I'm not getting my preview. Okay. Well, I don't care for that. And that's a little subtle, but I think it's there. I might swap yellow and orange. I kind of like the yellow after the white stripe. White, yellow, red, orange. White, yellow, red, orange. White, yellow, red. Okay, red, orange. Okay. There's a vibrance effect. Okay, the other experiment I wanted to do was just make these a little bigger. The end one's a little bigger. Okay. All right, so what I want to do then is I want tartan drawing to take I guess it's far sets to highlight of double. Okay, and then let's default it to 1.25. I might just call it highlight. Wheel. It's only one place. Okay. Now that, right, you don't have one. Okay. I wish I would just give up on this line. He stopped complaining. Okay, good. All right, so Pleat validator, sorry, tartan drawing. Now, VStack. Dimension line, spacer, color. Where's stripes? Oh, there's the overlay for stripes. Now, I think I want this to be overlay style. I'm going to have to find. Was that my query? What was that? Overlay vibrance. Maybe a Z-stack would be better. Do you have a link for that vibrance? I don't. Oh, here's materials. Yeah. Visual effect blurs. Alignment top trailing. Yeah, this is kind of what I was thinking of doing. Color white with opacity. Maybe I just draw it. Okay, let's make a Z stack. Oh, wait, 0. Okay, let's see the preview on that. Yeah, that's what I think I'm gonna have to do. Well, I don't want the dimension line in that for sure, or the spacer. All right, so this becomes, I guess it's an H stack with this. If I put a spacer in, did I screw up something? So the width, well, that should be this. Is that 2/6? 2/12. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, okay. This is all right, so 1 to the next one is 1, 2, 3, 4. Um, I think it's 1/12 times, what do we call it? Highlight. Well, we're not looking so good. And then let's make this a little more dramatic. I'm losing it. Why is that? It's in the wrong place. The width is proxy width times 2/12, which should be that first 2 stripes up to the white. I had it until I put this in. Well, that's almost kind of right. It's, oh shoot, is it? Oh, way up. Okay. We'll pick up here tomorrow. I think we're close. We just had to get this multiplication in correctly, and it looks like I've got 2 stripes on each end. If I made this different, I think it'll pick up the next one. Yeah, so we'll have to get this multiplication right tomorrow. And thanks for joining. Tomorrow it's 2 to 4:30 Eastern, 6 to 8:30 p.m. UTC, and it's a challenge tweaking this stuff, but we're getting there. I think we're in pretty good shape at this point. All right, thanks again, and I'll catch you tomorrow or some other time. Bye-bye.